Hello, welcome to the well. Let's see here. I have to do okay, there we are, side by side. Yes, all right, for the week of May 8th, 2023. So Maria from Bloom, Angela from Grounded Dreamers. So let's all just take a moment to pause, just settle into the moment, reflecting on last week. Just take a moment to breathe in and clear anything from the previous week you'd like to clear. It's kind of like taking out the recycling bin. And then take a moment to register your accomplishments from the previous week. And let's open up to our reading for this week.
Right.
Right.
So my accomplishments from last week are that I made it.
Woohoo! Last week was a doozy.
It was a crazy roller coaster week, and here we are. We did it. Okay, so the opening card here I have is the crab, and this is reminding us. So last week, we know on Friday we had that full moon eclipse, and in Scorpio, which is that. Remember, we pulled death, which is the sign of, which is Scorpio's tarot card. And clearing old stuff, finding a way to transition. That last week's energy was about endings. And the crab, first of all, is highly affected by the moon. As we know, the tides are affected by the moon, and all the animal life in the ocean are as well. They take that time to spawn, and that's when they can regenerate. And this card says, show your emotions and regenerate love. So that's the guidance here, is to continue the work that we were doing last week, and making sure now that we have gotten some of those old crusty emotions and old things kind of risen to the top. We can now tap into that love. We can feel it now. We can access it and use it going forward. It's always, we'll always come back around to it if we're following the energy. And then I pulled conclusions are within reach, which is the full moon eclipse, which, like Maria said last week, this was the card that ended our spread last week. And now we're still reminded in the beginning of this week's reading that moving toward those endings, toward the resolve, or the clearing of the stuff that we don't really need to hang on to anymore.
Or also the integration, right? The integration.
Take it all in, use it all. And then, like the roller coaster that we live in, and the energy that goes up and down, right after the conclusions, I got postponement, because it feels like they're never within reach. It might feel like, oh, am I there yet? Did I do it? Did I complete that? This is really, you could really apply this to your inner journey easily, right? Because we have the ups and downs in our outer world. The ups and downs come that yes, I'm sure, no, I'm not so sure, but it starts in here. And so if we're really tuned into that, we can process and clarify and process what's going on within us. But that feeling like, oh, I'm not there yet, could come. It could come. And then at that time, that's the time to go ahead and let some of that fall away. Let the worry and the questioning and the need to know the timing fall away. Let whatever elements are weighing you down, like in this photo, it's the lily pad and the water droplet. When it fills up and it becomes too heavy, it will just fall off naturally. That's what we want to do with those emotions that are weighing us down, that aren't really serving us anymore. Let them fall away on their own. If we allow for it, they will, right? If we keep engaging our mind, this is how I feel, this is why, we stay in the cycle, right? But let the feelings come up, feel them, release them. I mean, maybe even cry, like the tears falling off of this right? Just let them
Right.
out, let them go, right?
But can I just speak to that, because we were just talking about that before, about, right, distinguishing between fact, right, and the feelings can fuel a whole way of making meaning of a situation and a narrative and a story. So distinguishing between what are the facts, what's true, and what's the interpretation, what's the meaning that you're making out of that, and then segmenting out the feelings so that you're separating, right, and then allowing the letting go as you're processing the feelings. So letting go of the story, letting go of the meaning making, letting go of, right, so that's just so important.
It really is, becoming the greatest observer of your life.
Observer
is,
of your life, right?
is it, we're in it, we feel it, but there are times to step back and assess, like Maria said, find what the facts are. I feel this way, but let's pull back and find out what's really happening here and how we can address it. I love that. Yeah, that balance. It's important to always be that observer,
Yeah.
in the right moments of our experience. Otherwise, we are kind of held hostage by our feelings.
Right. Then we become victims.
Right? And then we're victimized. Yeah. In our own
Mind, right? Doing the victim dance.
Yeah. So yeah, important.
So letting go.
And we had said this earlier too, there is no proper timing or no one proper action to take here when we're going through some of this deeper sort of excavation of old trauma, old feelings. There is no way you could get it wrong, because it's uniquely your path, your decision. So the forgiveness aspect of that, and allowing yourself to experience it in its own timing and not self-judge, that it's very important too. Like you could have two different people with the same experience and they process it in totally different ways, different pace, right? But
absolutely.
Yeah. So that's important, and I love, just to say, let it go. It's easy. It's an easy instruction to follow, but it isn't, it's simple. It's a simplistic approach. Just let that stuff go, let it flow, but it's not always easy to do. And just like listening to a reading like this, or doing some of the work that's available out there to clear spiritually and emotionally what's going on, just the awareness of it and being able to see, oh, that could apply to my life if I were to, just having the awareness is the beginning of shifting it, right? So
absolutely,
give yourself credit for that, right?
That's the observing, right? Observing, I'm that which is aware. I often use that mantra, allows that observing capacity to come online.
Keep that alive. Yeah. Like being the director in a theater as opposed to the actor on stage. The actor's feeling it and going through it. The director sees the entire picture, the whole story, and can, move pieces and shuffle things according to what the outcome they want is. So yeah, important to shift between those roles, but not shut it off and always be the observer. Then you're detached from your experience. You're not feeling, so
yeah, it's like in anthropology, that participant observer. It's in IFS, we call it capital S self, but yeah, exactly.
Able to
connected. And
okay, and then so now we're moving forward in this reading. We've remember we've had show your emotions, regenerate your love as the crab. The conclusions are within reach. It may not always feel so because of the postponement card, but when things arise and those feelings arise, this is a water card. It's definitely a card of your feelings. Let them flow and fall away as they need to. Now we are tapping into our abundance. I got the gatherer, and this is talking about, all the experiences you've had leading up to this point, the knowledge you've gained, the tools that you have, your own resources. They're always in abundance if you're paying attention, right? If you're tuned into that, to the path that your life has taken and all these things you've learned. now is the time to utilize some of that and call in for more abundance as well. So that is the next step on our path. And then I got affirmations, like literally calling in that which is, declaring it to the universe. This is how I want this to go forward. The bottom of this card says to lift up your thoughts and energy, and to attract what you desire, use positive affirmations. So whatever those are, I am abundant, I am safe, things are always working out for me. Instead of focusing on the things that feel stuck, just know that the solution is coming, those kind of things, that forward looking, forward thinking type of an affirmation that can move you along your path. And then we're brought the birth card. So now your next phase, your clarity, has brought you to the point of new creation. And this is depicted by the full moon as well, which we may still be feeling the energies of, since it was an eclipse moon. We may feel that newness, that shift, that change for a while. And yeah, the birth card is showing up for us. And then the final card after the birth card is love. Is we moved from the crab saying show your emotions and regenerate love, to love. So we've made it through, even though the ride may have been a little bit iffy, or I don't know, and I'm gripping to this, I got to let that go. But that is life. That's life right there, right? Totally. It's not what you're living out in your head and what you're expecting. Totally. It's moving with whatever energy is present. So I love that, how that journey and that first set of cards turned out.
I love that as well. It's just so critical to just be where we are in our lives. And so let's be where we are now in this experience, and just pause and be with the powerful cards that came through today. And in alignment with that crab card, just invite everyone to go deep inside your inner well. Imagine you have a magical flashlight, and allow that flashlight to guide you down into your inner well and see what's there. And bring love to whatever you meet. And allow whatever is there that you are meeting, allow it to rise. And again, offering love to it. And then, like the Gatherer card, go inside again, the inner well of resource, and identify a resource, a key resource, at least one. Feel free to identify more, that you can call upon and bring forth intentionally as you move through your journey this week. And then from that, using that resource, creating affirmations. So for instance, mine is courage. I'm a person of courage. Bringing courage to the challenges that I face this week and always. All right, so beautiful. Let's go ahead and come back into the space and move into the second part of the reading.
Yeah, I want to tap back to that crab card one more time for the imagery, the moment we were just in. When we feel we don't have the courage, that's that moment. See, when the crab molts and it leaves its shell to grow, because it does that only for growth. It could stay there in its right as long as it wanted and never, and kind of like bust out of its shell, but it actually knows when the time is to leave it, and the molting begins. And now the crab is all soft and vulnerable, and but it risks that for the growth. And so when we're feeling or we're not tapped into our courage, or we feel vulnerable, see that image in your mind. I am molting now. I'm preparing for my next big, step, my next ascension, my next soul growth. So
Yeah, and that's what allows the birthing.
That's what brings it to be possible. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so this next set of cards, we start with balanced spirituality and practicality. So this,
Important.
yeah, really important. This is what Maria was saying earlier, that sort of being able to separate the fact from the feelings, being able to separate, what practically needs to get done to move forward and achieve our goal. But it's always, to me, if we're paying attention, it's always instigated by our own connection to source. Like, ooh, I feel like this, and then boom, you take action, right? It's not always discernible, because we live in our heads a lot, and we make decisions and make plans and create order a lot. But if we can, observe a little more what triggers some of those decisions, what's making me feel like I need to grow and change. Right. That's important. But we also don't want to live only in the float of, the pure energy, because that is saved for the non-physical. That is saved for when we're no longer walking on this planet. So, we balance both. And then, true to the roller coaster's trajectory, we got stress. So it makes people come back, right? The juggle comes back, and I like to say the juggle is real, because instead of the struggle, because the juggle is real. Yeah, juggle is real. It does come back. Like we're gonna have moments where we're uncertain, and we have too many plates in the air, and we have to kind of settle back down. And luckily, our next card is calling for us to sink down into that guidance. Now, when this becomes too much, then it's time to move with whatever energy is present, to get that present moment. Maybe meditate, maybe go out in nature. When that stress and the mental activity becomes too much, do the opposite of what you feel. Sometimes a lot of us want to fight through it and push through it. There are, of course, different levels of tolerance for each of us. Like I can take a whole bunch of stress, but it's not the best for me, but I could take it on, right? I could do all of it. But more and more, as I do more and more energy work, I realize, okay, I'm only going to go to level 3 instead of level 6 here. Yeah. When it's that's my too much point now. Yeah. So, and then we rest into the moment and follow the guidance, follow the energy that's there. This allows you to release and move forward, do the molting and move forward into the next phase of growth, which is this card, goodbye to the old, hello to the new. Yeah. It's like we're always kind of in some kind of transition, right? And so being aware of that, and the little words here says, you've finished one part of your life, and now a new and even better part is beginning. And this was because of your attunement to the energy, to the, oh, okay, this stress is too much for me. I'm going to see what's available to me. I'm going to sink into my own guidance. I'm going to tap into source and find another way, another option here. Yeah. My inner well again, right? Go into your inner well, find that, which is connected to source and all that. Yeah. And that's kind of like that gatherer card. It's like, what resources do I have here that I can help me move forward? Right. There's so many like deeper levels of meanings to this whole path. It's crazy. And then I got this card, Rochelle. It's the angel, and it says, as you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, prosperity is coming to you now. So it's that move, that shift from that balance of spiritual and practical choices and energies. So follow that guidance. And then I got sign from above, and it's like, look for it. This actually is right over the affirmations card from the last spread. It's in the same position. So it's kind of like, declare what you want and then wait. look for, don't declare what you want and then go on to the next thing. I want this and I want that and I want, right? Which is, that's causing us stress. So be deliberate about where you're putting your energy and what you're declaring you want. Now, remember, even if you say, I don't want it to be windy outside, and I guess that's not a good application because the earth has its own movement, but I don't want, I don't know, I don't want to have bickering with my spouse anymore. I don't want to bicker. I don't want to bicker. That is kind of the universe is hearing bicker, 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 and you're in the bicker energy, right? So you're going to have more of it instead, right? So your affirmation should point your toes further down the road.
Right.
Like, I want smooth communication.
Yeah. Or I'm a person who can be in relationship with smooth communication.
Smooth communication. And then you are not focusing on the bickering, you're focusing on the solution. So, but that, that affirmation, it could be powerful, but look for the signs, look for the opportunities that come up. And then I pulled abundance. Now we are in the flow. We went from stress to abundance, right? Anchored by this balance card. So the stress will come. We can experience it for however long we each experience it, and then move on and focus on that abundance because it's always there.
Yeah.
Always. And if you can't find it within the confines of your own experience, your own mind and soul, if you're too much here, then rest. And then we've got that guidance to just move with what energy is there. And what I like to do to remind me of the abundance is to be in nature, listen to music, anything that's creative helps me remember about my abundance. Our loved ones, our pets, that's where we can remember that the love is there. And I got the lovers.
I love it.
Was right over the last card of love. So that's our end. That's the end of our journey. Not the end of our journey, but the end of this reading, which is kind of cementing the fact that tapping into love is really the key.
Yeah. And and sourcing from that.
Finding
yeah, I love that. And I want to go back to what you said too about the wind. You were using that as an example of something, and you shifted to the bickering, but it was a great example of what we were talking about earlier, which is separating out fact from interpretation and segmenting out our feelings from that experience too, so that we can be with what is, we can be in reality. So like an example of that might be, I feel like I'm getting blown away by the wind, right? Okay, well, actually, that's not a feeling, right? So it's like separating out the fact is it's windy and the wind is blowing and I'm being impacted by how the wind is blowing. And so what are my choices? How can I deal with this? And the feelings that I'm having might be, oh, I'm feeling a little scared, feeling a little out of control. I'm feeling a little off kilter, right? So it's like, oh, those are feelings. The wind is blowing. It's not blowing me over. It's right. It's like, yeah, in that victim dance, it's blowing and I have a choice, right? I can go inside. I can whatever. So anyway,
fly away.
I can fly away. I can spread my wings and fly,
I can dig my feet into the ground and let it pass through, right? Stand still or go retreat, like you said, go inside.
Yeah, or it's or some people might even be like, oh, it's not windy. It's not windy. It's all good. And it's like, no, it actually is windy and the wind is blowing. And it's like, so it's such a perfect example of what we were talking about, because wind is a force of nature. We have no control over the wind.
Right.
Unless the fan is on and that's why the wind is blowing, then we can turn the fan off. But it's such a perfect example of being what is. And so
I was looking at how much wind there is through the trees outside. That's when I said it. But what I started to say was, I don't want it to be windy, which is
right. Which is fighting with what is.
It is windy. Yeah.
It's okay that you don't want it to be that way. And that's okay. You get to not want what you don't want, but it's also true that we need to be with what is, whatever the way that is, so that we can be with it I'm coming back to it because of the spirituality, practicality, balancing card. It is just so critical. So many people that identify as highly spiritual and highly sensitive beings often struggle so much with the practicality of balancing, how to be grounded in your spirituality. And it could not be more important. Otherwise, we're living in the meaning that we're making,
that's grounded dreamers. That's where I came up with that name.
Yes.
There's that exact balance, right? Stay focused in your reality and rooted in your reality, but don't ever stop seeing what unseen forces are there. Don't ever stop that either. So yeah,
but without both, it's we have to have both. Yeah, so such a beautiful reading as usual. So invite everyone to just pause before we close and just feel into whatever you're seeing for yourself in this reading, and take a moment to create a wish and offer that into the well, and have a beautiful week.